All right, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the AJAXCAST. Today we got an episode 8 preview of House of the Dragon. Series has been great so far. 3 episodes left, and the tension is building. We're coming off the highest rated episode of the series so far, and all I can say is that I am super thrilled for episode 8. The big thing I think we could take away from the trailer is obviously our boy Viserys is sick, or who knows what, and the High Towers look like they're pretty much running the throne in King's Landing. We're getting a slight time skip again. We're going to see different actors for the kids. The first picture we got Aemond and Aegon. They have both grown up a little bit, and so have Rhaenyra's kids. And then also we see another big part of the trailer is Corlys Valerian was injured at a battle down in the Stepstones, and it looks like he may not make it. So big controversy is going to be over who should take over the throne for Driftmark. But what are some big predictions you guys got coming up for episode 8?
Well, I'm interested to see how the situation in Driftmark plays out because it seems like Rhaenyra is very much not on the side of the blacks, considering what happened last episode. So I think she might align with the Greens if she ends up taking over the throne. Though it will be interesting to see if she actually has like a challenge to her power.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely an interesting situation now too. But I mean, one thing I do want to know too is I just love the new actor too for Aemond. Like,
Oh
honestly, it
yeah.
looks to me like a mini Damon. Like, if Damon was younger and had lost an eye. I know, in like one of the earlier episodes we talked about too, when we saw that like clip of what I guess now was Aemond fighting. I think we all assumed that it was just Damon and that he had lost an eye in one of the episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So they are very similar. I think he's going to turn into be something like the Greens version of Damon. The kind of person who's willing to get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
So he is
I
my prediction for the first guy to commit war crimes, is what I'm saying.
yeah. So the big question for this episode, will this be the episode where he gets the title the Kinslayer? Or does that come on later in?
I mean, I could see it. Like, I don't actually remember who he kills
Mm-hmm.
specifically, but I imagine we're going to see it soon because, from what I understand, it is a very big part of his story. And I think it does happen fairly early on. So, yeah, I think we could see it this episode, or hell, it might be a way to end the season too.
Mm-hmm.
But
And I think I want to give another nod to the casting directors because, first of all, like what they've done so far with the transition of characters has been unbelievable. But I just love the little detail you see. So we're gonna see Eamon, who's work his butt off, like training day in day out, and like he looks good. The dude looks like he's in great shape. Looks like a fucking warrior. Then we see Aegon, who has pretty much been just drinking his life away and whatnot. So I think you can see the resemblance. Like Aemon is younger, but he looks like the older brother. He looks like he's physically more dominant than Aegon. So I'm curious to
he's
see how much
fucking
they can. I
huge.
know, dude. Yeah, and then
Almost
But
kind of how it is with Damon and Viserys, is it not?
oh yeah, one
it
hundred
is.
percent, one hundred
It's
percent.
similar.
Yeah, because Damon's had to
And
work for everything, and then I think
yep.
Aemon's gonna be the same way. He's had to work for everything, and um, if they end up taking the throne and it's not Rhaenyra, Aemon wants it probably even more than Aegon wants it, because Aegon even said that he doesn't want it. That we saw in an episode or two ago.
Yeah, but that's the difficult part too. Like I like what Allison brought up in the previous episode where she was like, it doesn't matter if you want it or not, because you either get it or you're gonna die. Right. And I think he's gonna have that kind of fear of God put in him in these next few episodes. And I think he's gonna be more committed because we gotta remember too, like last episode he was what, like 16? Of course he's not gonna give a shit. Like I also would like to compare him to like Robert Baratheon,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. Didn't give a shit at all about ruling. All he wanted to do was, exploit the riches of the kingdom, drink, fuck random girls, and fight. That's really it. I think that's all he cared about originally. But
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how he develops over time and kind of this fight for not only political survival, but just overall
yeah,
survival.
Robert was a warrior too. I don't really see that from Aegon. Like they could just completely debunk that, and he's actually kind of a badass. But I don't really see that happening
I don't know. I mean, he's probably not going to be as good as like Damon, or I assume Amon's good too, just from what I see
from the
right
clips
now.
we've seen. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
pretty
I
badass.
assume he's good. But I mean, from the only fighting we've seen Aegon do so far, I mean, he's won. Mind you, yeah, he was fighting a person that was several years his junior, and it was more of a bit of bullying than an actual fight. But
Yeah.
we have no reason to believe he isn't a good fighter. I mean, if he actually enjoyed sword fighting, then there's reason to believe he's gotten a bit of practice too. I mean, he is going to be the heir the Greens put forward, so he's going to have to be at least somewhat capable, I think.
Yeah, 100%. But moving on, let's move on to Rhaenyra's kids. They've aged a little bit. They look even more like Sir Harwin Strong, which I think is another great nod coming from the casting directors. But what do you think is going to happen with them? Because we see in the clip, we see or we hear Aemond go, "Hello, nephews," and it wasn't in the best tone. And probably the last time they saw each other is when Aemond lost his eye.
Mhm. I mean, wait, who was it that actually slashed his eye? It was the younger one, right? What was
Uh,
his name? Lucerys?
I I thought it was the older one. I'll
I
have to go
think
and double
Uh,
check.
Aemon was choking out the younger one.
Yeah, and then the older brother slashed his eye.
gotcha. Well, I think the Kinslayer is going to come. I'm going to go ahead and predict that the Kinslayer is going to kill the guy that stole his eye from him.
Yeah, so the older
So
brother.
I'm going to say he goes for the older brother then.
Yeah,
That's my prediction for it.
yeah. Who knows, man? But they could be pretty good fighters already. I mean, they have the strong blood in them, and they've also been training most likely under Damon, who is pretty good with a sword himself.
True, but also look at the age difference though too.
Yeah.
Like obviously Jace, the older brother, I think is probably going to be somewhere like 18, 19, maybe 20, whatever. He's
Hmm.
still a few years younger, but he's still a capable fighter. Whereas from what I saw in this episode 8 trailer, the younger brother still looks like he's like 13, 14,
Yeah.
right? He looks really young. And
So
so I
looks like
don't
a
think he's going
kid.
to be able to, no matter how good he is technically in fighting, he's just going to get outpowered every time. So yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. I mean, we already know there is going to be a fight just from the trailer alone. It looks like Jace and I want to say Damon get into a fight from that screenshot. Oh, no,
Hmm.
not Damon, Aemond.
Amen. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like there will be a fight. And so because of that, actually, I'm going to go ahead and predict too that this is where he gets the Kinslayer title from too.
Yeah. I definitely think we're gonna see a main character death in this episode, just from like all the tension that was leading up. Like, yeah, Laenor died, but he didn't actually die. So I still think like we really haven't seen that main character death. Yeah, Lena died, but she wasn't a main character. Like she did not have a whole lot of screen time. Yeah, she had a lot of significance, but she
I
wasn't one
mean,
of the
yeah,
main
she was more
story.
of like we saw the actress that played her that
Yeah,
was killed in one episode. So
exactly. Yep. What changes do you think are going to happen with the High Towers pretty much in rule now, since Viserys is sick or pussy whipped or whatever the hell he's doing?
well, obviously it's going to be pretty much a political puppet show
Yep.
until Viserys eventually dies. He's just too weak to actually stand up to them anymore. But I'm
Yeah.
interested to see how Otto rules, right? Like I feel like I don't really know a ton about the High Towers. All I know is the High Towers obviously where all the Maesters study.
Hmm.
So I imagine he's going to focus more on like pursuit of science, knowledge, stuff like that, maybe, or maybe even empower the Maesters more.
Yep.
But I don't really know a ton. So these are very flimsy predictions. I don't know if they'll be completely true, but that's where I'm leaning towards.
Yeah. And then I think we can pretty much guarantee that Corlys is gonna die just from that one shot we have of that Rhaenys, and there's all the candles behind her. You got to think that's got to have something to do with his death, and they've already pointed out that he had a pretty big injury down in the stepstones.
I agree. The way they made it sound is like it was a mortal
Yeah,
injury. So it was more wasn't a question of will he live, it was how long does he have left to live.
exactly.
Right. And so I think they were just telling her that because like go and say like your last words now if you can
Hmm.
get down there in time or something like that.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, honestly, I kind of hate it too because I actually really like the actor who
I
played
do
him.
too. He's
He
awesome.
was really solid. But I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm kind of curious to see what happens with that.
Yeah, and then what about Damon finding another dragon egg?
That's going to be interesting too because do both Jace and Luke have dragons or is it only one of them? I know that was the case with Aegon and Aemon. I don't remember
I think
if
they
both
both. I think they both
Rhaenyra's
have
kids do.
dragons. I think both Rhaenyra's
Okay.
kids have dragons.
So that's interesting then. So maybe they
You
will
think that's
try to have another
signifying
kid.
that Damon and Rhaenyra are gonna have another kid?
Possibly. That's a good. That's a good point right there. They could have a kid, but we'll just have to see what they go with here. Which way the show goes versus how the books went. So I'll just leave it at that.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, I'll say too. I mean, dragons laying eggs has pretty much nothing to do with their dragon riders having
Mhm.
kids. So there is a chance they may just end up having a spare egg,
Yeah,
or
it could
maybe
also
they'll bring
be.
in someone from the outside to become a
Mhm.
dragon rider just to tilt the war in their favor, since they did just lose Vagar.
Yep.
Or the girl who was trying to claim Vagar ends up getting that dragon egg.
Yeah, or
What was her
we
name?
don't know if Joffrey, the youngest of Rhaenyra's kids, has an egg or has a dragon yet, because we have not seen him at all since he's been born. So
Oh
maybe
yeah,
we'll
I
maybe we'll
completely
get a little
forgot
bit of
about
him.
him.
Yep. Let's just hope there's no weddings coming up, or else that Joffrey's dead, because that's the thing.
100%.
Yep.
Joffreys are 2 for 2 at weddings
Hmm.
for deaths.
Yeah, and this past episode, like there was a little bit of Rhaenyra. Mainly, she was just getting fucked by Daemon, and then just being an angry mother. So I'm wondering to see if she takes more of a power role in this next episode and kind of steps up to the plate, because you hear them talking about going to King's Landing, leaving Dragonstone for it. So I hope we see a little more out of her, or else I think you're going to see a little bit of criticism coming from casual viewers saying, "Oh, the new Rhaenyra sucks. The younger version actor was way better." So I think that's something that they're really going to prove here in this 8th episode.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, her acting in the last episode was pretty solid too. I have no
Oh
complaints
yeah,
with
it was, but
with her.
like she didn't have a whole lot of significance. I want to say, like, yeah, she got married, but like I feel like she didn't have a whole lot of talking points except for when she was screaming about her child getting punched in the face and choked out, even though he slashed Aemon's
Yeah,
eye. Um, and Damon was getting her toes.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but I feel like she is probably going to do something more aggressive this next episode,
I
because
think
it
so too.
sounds like cards are kind of, well, the tables are kind of turned against her,
Hmm.
because Otto's pretty much going to be all but king except in name, right? He's going to be basically regent. And
Yeah.
so, even though she is the heir, she can't technically take over until the king dies. So maybe she decides to take matters into her own hands before it becomes more unfavorable of a situation for her,
Yeah, and we also have
right?
another still of Corliss's brother that
True.
was talking about who is going to rule Driftmark. And I like, if it were up to me, I'd say, yeah, give it to that dude. He's proved himself in battle. He went down there and fought in the Stepstones multiple times, and he's a proven warrior. But I think you could potentially see one of Daemon's children sit on the throne, or that's at least what Rhaenys is gonna attest for, is having one of Laena's children rule Driftmark.
I could potentially see that too, honestly. And it would be good for them to get Driftmark on their side. I'm just curious to see if Rhaenys will do it or not, because her whole thing the last episode was she didn't really love the blacks because she knew that the kids were bastards, and she didn't like that their blood was going to be on the throne,
Yeah,
even though it seemed like Lord Corlys was quite okay with it.
yeah, because it's
Because
names,
yeah,
not blood.
yeah,
So
but I don't know. I could see Rhaenys being a bit adverse to it, honestly.
yeah, we'll just have to see. Is there anything else you guys want to say about episode 8, the lead up for it?
She's playing at a disadvantage right now, is what I'm saying. So it'll be interesting to see what she does to try to claw back some power and even the stakes again.
Yeah, gotcha. I completely agree with that. I just hope we see a little more out of her this next episode, and then I'm interested to see how Rhaenys handles this, because basically she's going to be in power at Driftmark with Corlys dying, or at least it seems like it at the start. So I'm real curious to see what happens, because I don't think the men and knights and fighters of Driftmark are going to back her. They're going to back Corlys's brother. But thank you guys for all the support you guys have been giving us as of late. If you haven't already, check us out on Spotify. Check us out on all of our other social medias. Let us know what you think of House of the Dragon and possibly some other things you want us to explore. And we'll see you all next time. Peace.